Hi, APB guests. Thank you so much for joining us for Behind the Build, powered by APB Partners. Whether you're tuning in live or watching this replay, we're so glad to have you here. I'm Nicole, the Partnerships Manager here at APB. And as you can see, I am joined by Joel. I was about to say good morning, Joel, but good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Almost
Thanks.
good evening over here in New York.
Almost good evening. Yes, thank you for joining us. This series is all about taking you behind the scenes with our trusted industry partners, giving you direct access to expert insights, practical tips, and answers to questions you may not even know you had yet. And as you can see, I am joined by Joel, one of our rewards partners from Virtual Construction. Now, virtual construction assistants. So, Joel, I'm really excited to get into our conversation today. We're talking about inheriting the hard hat, which I know so many builders are in the same boat. It happens naturally, it happens planned, and sometimes it just falls into your lap and you don't even know what's happened. I'm really excited to talk about your experience in this and things that you wish you knew before taking over family construction. So, before we get stuck into this, I'd love you to touch on what can our builders expect to walk away from today's session with?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me, and hello to everyone over there. Um, I'm Joel Lipsky. I am the CEO and founder of Virtual Construction Assistants. But my primary job that I have, my actual 9 to 5, is I am the co-owner, along with my
Mm.
brother, of Lipsky Construction, which is a third generation general contracting firm here in New York. Not the city, so we're not doing high rises, but definitely servicing the suburbs around New York City. And the key takeaways is there's a lot of lessons that you are going to learn as you go and take over a family business, any business, in this case, construction, where it's going to be trial by fire. And as much as you feel that you're going to be prepared, there's going to be a lot of things that kind of sneak up on you and are going to challenge you. So I think that a lot of the takeaways are some of the lessons that I had to learn the hard way. And I just want to share some of those experiences with the viewers here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And very relatable. I can definitely see many builders from conversations that we've had in a similar experience. So, to get stuck into this, I think a great place to start is your background. Can you walk us through your journey from construction and, like you said, working in a family business, you're still in that family business. So I would love a bit of your background on how you ended up here.
Sure. I always was working in construction in high school for my father. Essentially, I was on the job site as a laborer. I was working for the subcontractors at the time, not doing construction management, more of like labor type projects. And
Mhm.
this is during summer, when I was off from school.
Mhm.
After high school, I gravitated to earning a construction management degree from a university in Florida. And so I actually went to school I got my bachelor's degree in construction management. While I was down there, I was working for some very large general contractors at the time in Florida. And I was able to secure a really good opportunity with Turner Construction, who's one of the largest general contractors in the United States. They're all over the world, Turner Construction. So I was able to secure a job with Turner Construction out of college. So I didn't actually go to work for my father for many years. I actually spent a couple years going to work for a very, very large general contractor at the time and spending the time with them before gravitating back to the family business. Um, so my background, I've always done construction, but I guess just to summarize this and close it, I've been doing construction for the last 15, for 20 years in total. But the last 15 years of that, I've been working in the business. But the last 5 years, I've been working on the business with my brother because now we are owners of a general contracting firm.
Yeah, wow. That's quite surprising that you went through that process and went to, I guess, away from the family business to start with rather than starting there and then moving out. Probably reverse would be more typical. Was it a conversation at the time that when you were getting into the studies and wanting to get into that field that you would potentially join the business, or it just ended up being the other way?
I think, to the credit of my father, he had engineered this from very early on, that he always had a vision of, especially some of the older generations, they have like this legacy that they want to pass on the business. They
Yeah.
have, like, that's one of their desires, their passions is they want the name to last longer than them.
Mm.
Um, and so I believe that my father definitely had a vision, and that was one of his visions, was that some or one of his sons was going to take over the family business. I didn't know at the time what I was really signing up for, which is kind of why we're here.
Yeah.
But I think that part of it was his, um he kind of like encouraged me to go work for somebody else. And I think
Right.
that was really, really important. And I actually know another very large general contracting firm in the city that does like billion plus, and you cannot work for this family firm. They're privately owned. You cannot work for the family firm until you go prove yourself at another firm first. Then you
Wow.
can come join the family business. And I think it's just the two things that I think it helps you with is your work ethic. Like, you're not going to be treated better or worse working for somebody else. You're going to go through the meat grinder, and then
Mm.
also teaches you a different perspective on how to work in the construction business, as opposed to like what your dad just may have taught you during a summer internship.
It's a really good point. It seems like a very logical and thought out process for you to go, grow, learn in another company before just coming up through the ranks in a way. And perhaps that is my understanding in Australia is pretty typical. You be an apprentice and you've always been in the business and it just happens that way. So it seems like a really thought out process within your family. So you've been, correct me if I'm wrong, it was like 15 years on the job site or in the field that you were working before you made the transition to ownership. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
And what was the catalyst that made that switch, or what when you knew you were ready for that?
Um, there was definitely an impatientness that me and my brother had. Like, we were very eager to take the foundation that my dad and my uncle had provided for us and expand on it. We just had a a different approach on how we want to run the business. Like, essentially, they had a my dad and my uncle had a certain way of doing running the business,
Mm.
and my brother and myself had a different vision. We just wanted to expand off of it, and kind of, it's almost if like my dad and my uncle gave us really good compacted soil, really good concrete, and there's like rebar sticking out with like the orange caps, and they're like, you take it from here. So like, we were able to kind of do the framing and make it what it is today, and we're still growing it to this day. But I
Mm.
think a lot of it was we just were very, eager to take it to a different level, and we just had a different vision on where we wanted it to go.
Yeah. And you and your brother began that at the same time, or was it one before the
Yes.
other? Yeah.
Yes. Together, it was right around the same time, that it was a joint vision that we wanted to, take it to the next level that we kind of have it today.
Yeah, yeah. Great timing. I guess it can be hard if you have a well-established family member in the company, and then stepping in at a later time can also have its challenges. So, was there a turning point for you where you went from being a great builder to moving into a business owner that you thought was it an easy transition? Was it a difficult one? What did you find that changed like?
I felt the easiest part was the vision. It was
Mm,
like under kind of knowing what we wanted to do.
yeah, the
The
passion.
hard
Mm,
part was taking on different roles that we had never taken on before. And what I mean by that is, I have 15 years on the job site, in the
mm,
trenches, as a project manager, as a site superintendent. My brother ran the biggest job that we ever did for my father's company. He was like the site superintendent. He's a licensed superintendent. Um, but I didn't go to school for accounting. I didn't go to
Yeah.
school for insurance. I didn't go to school in legal law. And as much as your experience as, as a project manager, as a superintendent through about construction means and methods and how to do a concrete pour the right way and the importance of lapping the weatherproofing in a certain way, when you gravitate to being a business owner, it's a completely different set of skill sets that you need to learn fast.
Yeah.
And if you don't learn some of these things quickly, you will, just like on the job site, like you'll get crushed. So I think the easiest thing was like we knew what we wanted to do. We know where we want to take it, but then having reality hit us in the face that there's an entirely different skill set that business owners must possess in order to actually run a business. Because essentially, being a construction business owner, you're in business first. That just happens to be in construction. A lot of people that kind of take over ownership are really good at the construction part, just don't have a really good understanding of the business part of it. So that skill set was very, very challenging for me and my brother at the time.
What was that learning curve like? Obviously, it was challenging. Was there a particular, you're also navigating the two of you together. So, did you divide and conquer? Was it self-educated together? Did you,
Sure.
yeah, what was your method on how to tackle this?
Um, so we talk about this a lot, my brother Alex and I,
Yeah.
and we essentially have developed in our head that there are five pillars to our success
Okay.
during the transition. One of them, I'll just list them off real quick. Number
Yeah.
one was having a very strong business partner, who was my brother Alex. If you don't have a good relationship or a solid bond with your partner, like you're not off to a good start, right? We
Yeah.
know this for marriage and everything too. Number two was having a successful succession plan between my father and my uncle and me, my brother. If they had overly complicated that or provided too many obstacles, we would not be successful.
Mm.
Um, the third one was actually virtual assistants. Virtual assistants actually helped us reduce our overhead when we didn't have cash flow at first and the money coming in.
Yeah.
Number four was having really good mentors. And number five was getting a coach.
Yeah.
And if you take one of those pillars away, a bad partner, a bad succession plan, like the virtual assistant team at the time, like our mentors or a coach, we would not have the company that we have today. You just take one of those pillars away, we would fall down.
Yeah.
Early on, my business coach gave us a challenge where he had me and my brother do a DISC assessment, DISC. And I don't know if you guys do this at APB,
Yeah, we
but
do. We actually do an internal desk every time we have a new employee on board,
awesome.
which is one of my like favorite things. So we love to see the dynamic of the different fields. So yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
familiar with desk.
And if whoever's listening, like look up DISC.
Look it up.
This is this was a game changer. So
Yeah.
we had a DISC performed assessment of my brother. And for those people that don't know, like DISC gets like really, really into your brain and we'll find out like what you're made of, like if you're an introvert or an
Yeah.
extrovert, if you like confrontation or all those things. And all you need to do is just answer like maybe 30 questions or so. So what we discovered is that my brother Alex is very influential, is very outgoing, and he can not only entertain a room, but he can also rally the room to go to the bar after. Okay. Like
Right.
that's Alex. And anyone that meets my brother will kind of tell you the same thing. For me, I am not that guy. I have to almost put a mask on and kind of like get through it. And I'm usually very tired at the end of it. But I am very process driven.
Process.
I am actually a high D where I have very high expectations. I'm very process driven. And I'm one of those people that like just drives SOPs. Whenever I'm like, we have to repeat that again, like create an SOP right away.
Yeah.
And knowing the mindset of me and my brother, we naturally, and through the coaching, Alex, my brother, is in charge of getting all new work. He's our BD guy. He's our sales guy. He goes and he makes those relationships. And with my mindset of being process driven, analytical, I was better fitted to run the company once he got the job. So essentially, like the split between me and my brother came from the disc assessment, but Alex is in charge of finding the work, getting the work. And as soon as there is a contract on the table and that contract gets signed, I sign the contract and then I run it through completion with my operations team. That's the dynamic between the two of us. It was a
Wow.
nice, and honestly, it probably saved us years. Just that one little trick that our coach gave
Yes.
us at the time.
Man, that's a really great advice. And that came from your coach?
Yes. Yeah. That was one of our coaching. And
So,
I don't even know what a disc assessment was at the time. It was
oh,
something
that's
that our
awesome. I
coach
definitely
introduced us
recommend
to.
that to everyone. Even it doesn't even have to be business owners, anyone, even just working with co-workers, whatever it may be, because we can judge people for how they operate and think that it's wrong. And that's just not the case. We all operate differently, and it's about respecting and leaning to your strengths, leaning to someone
Yes.
else's strengths. And that's clearly a huge part of your dynamic. You said that you're a high D. What is Alex? Did you mention what he is on
He's
the
a
team?
high influencer. So
So
he's
he's
like
in a high
rally the
I.
room. He's going to make people
Nice.
feel like they matter
Yeah.
and that they feel special. And he does. Like he's my brother is one of the best I've seen that can do that.
Yeah. That's actually quite fascinating. And those that are listening who may not be familiar with this definitely suggest it. But I'm also in the D category. Um,
Okay.
I'm also on the D in the company of very lonely in my area. To be frank, it's not I wouldn't say common, but it's a very I'm a methodical person as well, so that's
Yeah.
understandable. So that really helped with your family dynamic, establishing that relationship. And those pillars that you mentioned, really, really insightful set there. So the relationship, identifying whose strengths are what and how to work through that. Let's move to the second point you made, which was the succession planning of that transfer. What was the hardest part about navigating that?
Um, I think every business owner, including my father, the hardest thing is when. Not so much if, but it's more like when is that going to happen?
Yeah,
And that was a struggle. Like, and for someone that's worked for 40, this is a testament to my father and my uncle. Someone that has worked for 40 plus years, it's hard to let go. It's the habits of
yeah,
waking up at 5 in the morning to be in the office by 6. Like those are now part of your DNA. And I think that they knew that they were going to retire. They wanted to retire. They both sought this retirement, but they just didn't really know when that was going to happen. And essentially, Alex and I, my brother, were told it's going to happen this year. Then it got pushed back, and I'm sure this is common with other people. Is that like it's like you promised me something, and you're not retiring anytime soon. Um, Essentially, like we had to draw a line in the sand and say, I need to have a conversation with you. This is my father. Like, I want to have a conversation about like the date of this happening. And we had to sit in the conference room, and me and my brother just said that we felt like we were ready, but we want to
yeah,
just pick a date and just stick to that date at this point. And then good, bad, or indifferent, and mind you, like my dad's he's finishing out his construction projects. He was
yeah,
personally tied to some of these.
yeah, of
We
course.
would help him finish those. But essentially, like from that date on, any new project that we were introduced to, Joel and Alex would just run it under our business ownership
Mm.
guidelines. And so that date was a little hard, and it kind of moved a little bit, but setting that clear was very, very helpful. Like having that meeting about
Yeah,
like what's the date, like and let's stick to it this time.
yeah. And also, was there a conversation about what that, I guess, was that, sorry, I'm trying to think of the words. Was there a conversation about that date? He's out completely. It's like fully gone. You need to
Overlap.
retire. Like, what was it like?
For anyone that's looking to retire, and you might be personally guaranteeing some of these contracts that you sign on. So you might have to like stick with the company for a bit to finish those out and make
Yeah.
sure that you're especially the bigger ones, there's bonding involved. Essentially, me and my brother have our own insurance, have our own bonding, et cetera. But
Mm.
there was an overlap. And that actually helped Alex and I. Essentially, we were able to run our own jobs while minimizing our overhead because my dad had the overhead at the time. And then as my dad's projects wound down, he was using our overhead, meaning, I'm talking about office staff. Um, we essentially took the office staff that he had, put them on our payroll, and he was able to utilize them,
Mm.
and kind of minimize his expenses on the way out.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that was one of the reasons why we're here is that at first
Yeah.
it was my dad helping us. And then at the end, it was us helping our dad
Yeah.
get out of the business.
Yeah. It's a joint effort. You
Yes.
touched on, so I really love the pillars. We've touched on relationship, succession plan, working to a day, being in agreement of that and how to work through that together. The next point is virtual assistants, which is, you said which helped massively offloading a lot of tasks from you. And of course, we're also touching on you being from virtual construction assistants, which is another company that you're now running. So tell me, where did this come into play? I guess it seems like you have your hands full running a construction company.
Yeah. Essentially, I was able to use it for my dad's company first.
Yeah.
And, one of my learning lessons to anyone listening is don't so much focus on the top line, your sales coming in. Look at the bottom line and what you're keeping at the end of the day. Because
Yeah.
every dollar that you keep is just more money you're making. So at the time, our overhead was insane.
Mm.
And as a general contractor, that we don't self-perform anything. So our margins are very, very slim.
Yeah.
Essentially, when you don't self-perform something, 85% of what you bring in goes to subs and vendors and material suppliers right away.
Yeah.
It's like in and out, like boom, gone. So you're only left with like 10 or 15%. And if your office staff is just like massive and you need to support that, you're not making anything on the bottom number, which is your net earnings.
Mm.
So one of my lessons I want just to really over communicate today is like
Yeah.
bottom line driven is almost more important than top line driven. But
Yeah.
when one of the things that we do in construction is what we call a buyout. So if you have $100,000 for your concrete, just to use round numbers, and that's the number you go in with, and that's the number you win the job with. If you can find another subcontractor to do the same service for $80,000, you just made $20,000 more. Like
Mm.
that can get added to the project bottom line. If you take that same principle, if you can take $100,000 employee and just use a $20,000 employee to do
Yeah.
the same service, that $80,000 goes back to your bottom dollar. And mind you, I don't know how it is in Australia, but in the United States, we are going through like a workforce shortage, it's called. It's not just the trade contractors, it's not just the electricians that are hard to find and the plumbers. Office support is as expensive as ever. And it's very, very hard to find good experienced office support as well.
Mm.
Um, so essentially, what we did for Lipsky is that I was skeptical. I was like, this is never going to work. I'll try the virtual assistant thing, but for a construction company, like it will never work.
Really?
Um, and I did it on one, and it was just like, click, this actually works.
Makes sense.
I wonder if I could do this again. And like just today, for Lipsky Construction, like we have 5 that support our
Okay.
team.
Yeah.
If I had to pay New York salaries to those 5 people, I would 100% be out of business. I would be in the red every single year.
Mm.
So it's just another way to look at things differently. You're solving problems in a creative way is what
Yeah.
virtual assistance does for companies.
Was that something that you explored and introduced after taking over the company, or was that something already in place?
I tried it first with my dad's company. So as
Okay.
much as I was making my dad, like I was a project manager, I made quite a bit for him and my uncle, but also saved them a lot of money. So I introduced this idea when I was still a project manager. I think at the time someone was managing our insurance. When you manage insurance, you're just taking a PDF that has like an expiration. Let's just say like May 1st, your concrete subcontractor's insurance expires, and you put it on a spreadsheet. My dad had this lady, she was making like $85,000 a year, like just managing spreadsheets and PDFs. And I was like, I get someone to do this for $20,000.
Yeah.
And it worked. And so
Wow.
essentially I integrated this into my father's company first, and then I just brought it with me to the company that me and my brother had.
Mm.
Where virtual construction assistants, the entity, virtualconstructionassistants.com came into play was during COVID. I was just super bored, like work dried up, but the government was kind of paying people to stay on. And I was calling up one of my flooring contractors, and I was like, "Hey man, need your bid. Like I've been working on this school project for like 2 weeks, and the last number I need is like the flooring number." And he's like, "I'm slammed. There's no way it's coming to you. Figure it out." And I was like, "I just put 2 weeks into putting this whole thing together. Like I'm not going to just, dump this bid because I have a flooring number." I was like,
Yeah.
"Shoot, like what's going on?" He goes, I'm all over the place. I'm on this job site. I'm in the office, whatever. I don't have time to get you the bid." And so I was like, "Why don't I help you get someone cheap to help you do the flooring takeoffs?"
Mm.
And so I literally just helped a friend out. And I
Wow.
graduated high school with this person, so I helped him
Yeah.
bring in his estimating assistant 8 years ago, and that lady's still with him.
Oh,
And
wow.
I at the time I was like, and again, this is during COVID when you're slow and you have time to think. I was like, I
Yeah.
think there's a service here.
Yeah.
And one of my kind of jokes to people is, if you have a side thing going on and it's draining your bank account, like golf, if you have a side thing and it's draining your bank account, that's a hobby. But if you have a side thing going on and it's actually making money and you're keeping it, that's a business.
Yeah.
So that is where I was like, let me figure out a domain first. So I bought the domain first, Virtual Construction Assistants, and I registered with the state. And then I started really putting in the work nights and weekends to create the company that we have today.
Yeah. Wow. It seemed like it naturally fell from the sky that you were like, I'm doing this for me and it makes sense. And then you wanted to help a friend out, and then it naturally just grew from there. So, how long ago was that you started the new entity and started helping other construction businesses?
Oh, man, I mean, I think it's like, what's COVID, like 7 years ago today?
Yeah. So, like 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
Nearly
trying to, we
7 years.
just did an audit actually.
Oh, fabulous.
And just because I have a marketing consultant, sales consultant, she was like, I wonder how many hours you've actually saved your clients. So we just did this actually today. We've saved our clients 641,720 hours to date as of last week. All that time, the clients get to go do something more important than the back office support, the takeoffs, than what we've saved them to do. It's pretty
Amazing.
amazing.
It is amazing. It's also time, but money of what it would have costed them to get those hours covered by
Correct.
staff themselves. So yeah, massive opportunity there. And it obviously came really natural to you in how that progressed. I would love to. So, as we round up this conversation, I mean, we're working through the pillars. Virtual construction is obviously where we came into play, and how we got connected with you is we have a lot of our builders utilizing your services and getting virtual staff, which is awesome. So we're definitely a part of those figures, which is exciting. The last 2 points that you touched on are mentors and coaching, and I don't want to spend time on this because obviously that's what APB do, and we all love coaching, and we're a big fan of that. So where we jump to from here is I want to ask this topic of taking over your family business, moving through those steps and those challenges as well. If you have someone listening today who is in a similar boat or is headed towards that, what type of advice would you give them on what to expect or how to feel moving through that?
It's specific to mentoring, coaching, or just general?
General.
Okay. Um, Great question. I think that and I'm almost like talking like, my son is like 2 months old. Like I'm almost like, if he's listening one day, like I hope he listens to this. Like
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
hard business. It is going to challenge you, and which is
Yeah.
why having mentoring and coaching is very important.
Mm.
Um, and I'll talk about some other things, but like you
Yeah.
don't, if you were to go to a um, marriage counselor when it's really, really bad, he doesn't have like a baseline of where things could be. So getting a business coach, APB, when you're at a like when you have that neutral line, I think is really important. So basically get ahead of it because it's going to go like this throughout your career. And you don't want to like start coaching like down here. It's just you're at an all time. Not to say you shouldn't, but like get coaching earlier
Ahead of it.
before it's gonna be hard at some point. You're gonna have a year, a moment, a month where it's gonna be very, very difficult. And you want that team around you at that point, not trying to find that team is a good way of putting it.
Mm. Mm.
Um, but so it's going to be very, very hard. And as a general contractor or a trade contractor, I think the game is, I'm gonna relate this to baseball, is get on base. There's going to be that your grand slam, your home runs are going to be few and far between. But if
Mm.
you can just have the mentality that you're going to push the ball down the field a little bit every day and just get on one base at a time,
Yeah.
that's the right mindset to have as a contractor in what we're dealing with today.
It's a really great advice and a great analogy that we're just pushing the needle forward one step at a time. We're getting on base to base. We're not just always aiming for sorry, I got my dog here. Um that home run, which I mean, yeah, they happen. That's great. When they
So do
happen, they hurt.
strikeouts,
So
right? Like
strikeouts, exactly.
strikeouts and grand slams do happen. Those are even rarer. But if you can just like get the mentality of like just move the guys around the bases, one base at a time,
Yeah.
um, that would just be, how advice I would give to anyone listening.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Joel. It's been a pleasure speaking with you on this topic and hearing about your background and experience of, being just where so many builders have been. And it can be really easy to look at someone like you who runs a great, successful construction company as well as a virtual staffing company. You look like you've got it all, but the reality is you've been through those steps. You know what it's like to be in the position of maybe someone who's currently working on that succession plan. How is this going to work? What do I do in my family dynamic and how do I manage that? And you've really provided some tangible results and advice of have a mentor, have a coach, work on your relationship dynamic, look at what type of personalities you're managing, build a succession plan with transparency. Virtual assistants can help take the load off of you so that you can focus on those things of running the business. Like you said, working on the bottom line, heaps of advice in here. So I just want to thank you for your time and your transparency, speaking on a sensitive topic to some, because family dynamics can be hard to navigate.
Appreciate you having me on today very much.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts, words, anything that you wanted to share?
If anyone's looking for me, you can find me. I'm on YouTube now. If you type in Joel Lipsky Construction, I put some YouTube videos out. I'll probably add this to the channel.
Yes.
And you can also send me an email. I'm very receptive. I respond to all the emails I get, Joel at virtualconstructionassistance.com. I'm here just to help and share kind of,
Yeah.
the lessons that kind of took me by surprise and whatever I can do to help the industry out.
Absolutely. And for those that aren't familiar, APB Rewards Virtual Construction Assistants are an official APB partner. So that means that you can find them on our partner directory, which is where we have all of our trusted providers. You can access exclusive cash rebates. Below, I will link how to get into contact with Joel, how to get in contact with virtual VCA. If you have any questions, thoughts, want to chat more about today's topic, please leave a comment or reach out to anyone in APB and we'll help get you in touch. Again, Joel, thank you so much for your time and thank you
Appreciate
for
it very much.
everything.
You're
Yeah.
awesome. Love working with APB. So many
Yeah.
ways. You guys are
So
awesome.
good to have you a part of this. And everyone watching, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you are.